Hey
Hey
everybody.
everyone, welcome back.
We are here today with another episode of the AfterCon podcast.
Whoop, whoop. Today we're going to be talking to you about Smallville and some of the actors that we've met from Smallville
And from what we know, what they're up to today, which,
and where you can potentially meet them now for all you Smallville freaks,
yeah,
which
like
includes
us.
us. Yes.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. Smallville is, I mean, it's one of our top three shows.
Hmm. Yeah,
I,
I
it used to be Smallville Supernatural, but now it's got to be Supernatural. And I don't know if Smallville's right underneath there. Part of that's because we've watched it 10 times, if at
right.
least, but I mean, we've also watched Supernatural that much. I don't know what my other top three show
How
would
about
be.
Buffy?
Yeah, Buffy. There it is, right there. Buffy is one that I can only watch every 3 years, I feel like, but
That's because it's a lot heavier of a
it
show
is.
than the other two.
Yeah, it's way, you're right, way more emotional. But every time you watch it, I feel like it kind of creeps back up to almost number one. So
Yeah,
it's ever changing, you
right.
know?
We love Smallville.
We
So,
do.
yes.
Um,
And we've
we've had
actually been fortunate enough to meet a few of the cast members.
some of the best interactions we've ever had with, I mean, one in particular.
That's true. Well, even both we had very good, and by both we mean the actors who played Clark Kent and Lex Luthor.
Right, but Clark Kent interaction was more.
It was a memorable
It
interaction.
was the most my most memorable interaction. Well, it's in my top two most memorable actions.
Same.
Yours would be. I feel like yours would be um, Michael Rosenbaum.
Mm,
Or
I
no, not Michael Rosenbaum. Excuse me. Yours, I feel like would be um, mm, Spike. Help me out.
James Marsters.
James
He was
Marsters.
good, but he was never like on my top list of people to meet.
That's true. That's true.
So let's
Let's
dive in.
dive in. Jinx.
Dear God. Um, so we started going to conventions right after Smallville ended, didn't we? Like in
No,
20.
well, so Smallville ended when I actually, yes, you're right, because the last season of Smallville was when I graduated high school in 2010.
Yeah, we
So,
did our first. I've got it here, my handy dandy
because
notes.
it was,
2012.
yeah, 2012. So 2 years later, so shortly thereafter. But I think you didn't finish Smallville when it aired, because if I'm not mistaken, you quit and you
I
came
had
back to it.
I came back, but I think I had caught up by that time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But at our first convention, Dragon Con is where we met James Marsters or Spike for the first time.
Right.
Spike and Buffy, but he played Brainiac on Smallville.
Yes.
So
Um,
that was our first Smallville cast member interaction, which was great. You know, we saw him outside on our way to the restaurant, which I'm sure you've
yeah,
been before.
right. So that one, yeah, that Dragon Con, I think it was we saw James Marsters at a panel.
Yes.
Him and the actress who plays Cordelia Chase on Buffy.
Drusilla? No, not
No,
her.
no, it wasn't Drusilla. It was like okay, the actress
Drusilla.
who
My
played
brother said
Drusilla.
she looked like death.
That's true. Yeah, it's a real life. It's a real life vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we were trying to walk to a restaurant. We were trying to walk to Hard Rock Cafe
Yeah.
in downtown Atlanta, and we cut through an alleyway, and there he was, like with a couple people from his crew, if you will, and we just asked if we could. I think we probably asked if we could get his autograph there or something, but they're like, you got to do that inside. But he did shake our hands and said hi to us right there, so that was
Yeah.
the peak of our lives at that moment.
At that moment, it was our first celebrity interaction
Hmm.
outside of a convention adjacent ish.
Right. So then circle to I think the next person from the cast that we met would have been Michael Rosenbaum.
Yeah, unless you include in there Ian Somerhalder and Paul Wesley because
That's true.
they had smaller roles. I mean, Ian had a fairly decent
He had a recurring role in season probably 4 or 5, no, 5 or 6, I bet, because
no,
Lana was living in the
it would have
loft.
been season 3, right? Because wasn't Lana still in high school?
Oh, no, that was when you're thinking of when she's dating
Jen
um,
Ackles is
Jensen Ackles.
freshman year of high school, but Ian Somerhalder, they meet in the hospital. But remember, her aunt leaves in the beginning of the series ish, and she lives with Chloe, but then she moves into the coffee shop.
She's living in the roof and he's taking drugs. Are you
Yep.
sure they're not in
Because
college?
the first year of college, her and Clark are together. Remember, they get together at the end of the Jensen relationship, which is senior year. And when she moves to college, she lives in a dorm,
Uh,
and she's already dating Clark at that point.
Season 3, innocent until proven guilty. All right. Um, I don't
Which
think that
seems
relates
very
here.
early on. It seems
It
very.
does. It does seem early on, but she was really off on her own there. Parents died when she was, you know, you've all seen the picture in the newspaper. Um, Meteor showers, they'll get you.
No,
Um,
you'll be fine.
so okay, so yeah, so that's fair. We met them at that same that first Dragon
That same
Con.
Dragon Con. Yeah. Hmm.
Okay, and yeah, so he played Adam Knight, and then Paul Wesley played Lucas Luthor. Did he end up actually being a real brother, or was that all
It was
fabricated?
all paid and fabricated by Lionel.
Right. Logically. Typical Lionel, who we
Typical.
almost met last year.
Not really.
Let's quick touch on that gripe. And then he backed out.
Yeah.
Was that at the Minnesota Con?
Yes, that was the same one that, or Twin City.
Brendan Fraser was
Yes.
also supposed to attend, and then
I
he
went
got
there.
real famous at the wrong time.
Yeah,
Good
because
for
I got
him.
the
But
Brendan Fraser package.
did we even know what was in that package?
I don't remember. We got a lot
Yeah,
from it, but
that's true. That was a real bummer. Um, so okay, so then from there, was it did we meet Michael Rosenbaum at another Dragon Con?
yes, another Dragon Con. Because remember, that was the night we hit the town at Atlanta, and you
That
lost
wasn't that was that the first time we met him?
the first time we met Michael Rosenbaum. Yes,
Interesting. But we've met him twice. Have we not?
at the same convention.
Oh, okay. So we've only seen him at
So
that
we
one.
went up to his table, his booth. Got his autograph. We chit chatted. He told us about his podcast.
Then Kayla and Jacob went out that night and had a good time. Got back to the hotel. Jacob's lying in bed. It dawns on Jacob that he forgot his bag. I'll still never know that like how that like popped into my head that like I just didn't have it.
I've
And
never
so
taken so many Uber drives in one night.
correct. So then we
Like,
did a little hopping from previous location to location.
to sum up, he left the bag at a Mexican restaurant that
What's
had
money?
all of our autographed pictures in it. Did it have
Correct.
my stuff?
No, I think it didn't have any of yours. I think it was just my stuff because I had to go around the next day and then redo the
It
same
had my
people.
autograph of Michael Rosenbaum, but then he ended up giving us free ones. So the
And
next
that
day,
was
we went back to Michael's booth, and he's like, "Weren't you guys here yesterday?" And we're like, "Yes, but my idiot brother lost all of our stuff."
right, which at the moment it was really hard to argue that point. But it was nice because like we were going there fully expecting to like, pay for another one.
We were.
And he did recognize it. So I was impressed and I got to give the guy credit for that.
It was very nice to do that because he didn't have to.
Yep.
So
And then
yeah,
so I think he is definitely we've met
yeah.
some very nice celebrities, not including Lou Ferrigno.
And I'll never forget because like we've said before, not everyone's we're gonna not gonna see them on their best day. We can't.
Right.
But like, if you're gonna come to these conventions, you should show up and you should be appreciative and nice to the people who are paying
Right.
there that
Hmm.
like are super fans. And I'll never forget, like, what I don't remember her name, the chick from Deadpool. Like
Oh yeah,
Bart,
you did.
friend.
Well, her name in the movie is Vanessa. Um,
Baccarin is like her last name. It's
yeah.
an interesting one, but she was
Um,
very snotty.
I didn't get that, but I don't know that I met her.
It was the Round Table of Gotham.
No, so that would have been a you thing. I was gonna say because yeah, I didn't have that.
She was just like, "Where's my Diet Coke? Somebody was supposed to get me a Diet Coke." Ish.
Somebody, I mean, you got to get your Diet Coke though.
I
I
know you
could
did.
relate to Diet Coke for sure. Um, yeah, so he left one of the best impressions ever. I mean, I think we ended up falling in love with that guy more than, we liked him before we went in there. And to your point, that is they're advertising for themselves in that moment because again, I think most that go to like the Dragon Con conventions are your B, C, and below, they're lower on the tiers.
Yeah.
Maybe they're promoting upcoming projects, etc. But I mean, you have a good interaction with that fan. And yeah, you're seeing 1,000 people each day, probably at least. But so I do not envy that by any sense of the word. But to do that, I mean, can be really good for you.
It
Um,
exactly it can, and now we love him.
right. And so, okay, so we had that fun little interaction with him. And then Tom Welling, the man of the hour, really, for any Smallville fan. Tom has started to do a lot of conventions. He didn't at the time that we met him, and that would have been
It was right.
4 years ago. It was when he was on Lucifer, so it would have been for at
Comic
least
Con
4 years ago.
2017.
2017, 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Man, I'll tell you this. So he was on Lucifer, and Kayla, you met him during the round table. And what was that like?
Amazing.
Wait, Lucifer?
Yes. So I got, we've mentioned, like, you get to Comic Con if you want to get the possibility of meeting actors from shows. They do roundtables, but you have to wake up early, stand in line for hours upon end, put your hand in a bucket, pull out a ticket, and that's the show you get. So this time we did that, and I got Lucifer, which is a show that we watch. So I was like, fine, I'll take it. You get all of these people's autographs and whatnot. And then all of us, I'm waiting in line, and I get a call from you, and you're like,
Oh yeah, that's right. We didn't know at that point that he was going to
I
be
know
in the
we didn't.
next season.
I couldn't see the circle, and then you called me, and you're like, Kaylee, your mind's about to be blown because this is the man.
That's
And
right.
I named my first child after him, middle name. So
Semantics.
he's here in my level of wanting people to meet because obsessed. And so yeah, it was crazy. So then I got to him and I got to shake his hand. I got to chit chat a little bit, and it was great because it was like his return to TV, so to speak.
Right. Yeah, he
And
hadn't
then
really done much in years.
right, and then the round table ended. The cast started walking away, and then you went psycho.
Okay. Let me tell my side of the story here. So, first of all, did lose my absolute mind because it's very rare. We have our list of like top 10 celebrities that we want to meet, which I should really go back in and update that because it's maybe changed.
Yeah, that's
But the Fellowship takes up nine, but I've met four of them. So
of the fellow.
the Fellowship,
You've met four of them. Yeah, I figured
yeah.
you met more. No, you've met more. You've met Gimli. He was at the first night.
Oh man, I always forget that we. That's right. Oh man, I always forget that we met him. Um, so that's true. Four to go. Anyways, circling back here. Um, so he is when you're at Comic Con, when the celebrities are like going to the stations where they're doing autographs, and a lot of the television companies have their own booth where maybe the people are just going to talk to the audience and everyone just kind of floats around that booth. So they all have bodyguards. Like this isn't a place where the celebrities are just walking to and fro. I mean, there's tens of thousands of people in the building. So like Tom Welling has probably like, I don't know, 10 bodyguards around him, which is a weird thing to even think about or say. Um, and I'm like shouting at him, and I get a fist bump, which I'll take with me to the grave. I mean, that was great. I mean, I wasn't. He could have gone for the handshake, but in the heat of the moment, I would have taken just about anything. And and then they're walking around the corner into one of the aisles or rows, and so Kayla and I we just ran over there so we could just keep seeing him. And I'm continuing to just shout his name or something like "I love you." I don't friggin' know.
I'm pretty
And
sure what I said was accurate.
right, and he looks over at me and he goes, "What does he say? This guy?" Yeah. And I was like, all right, so I'm the guy that is the weird fanatic in this scenario,
Yeah.
but if he has any weird story to go home and tell his wife about the weekend, it's gonna be I'm the crazy fan. And you know what? I can live with that.
Nice.
So,
At least you're mature.
um, it was. It really was. Um, Man, you can really have some great experiences at Comic Con. It is very hit or miss depending on what's on television and if they're going to promote the like what's upcoming or like when the show's done airing if they want to do post,
Yeah.
like
The economy.
right, because I mean the boys showed up after the show had finished this year. So like we couldn't have even known that they were going to be there. It's very weird to do like post show promotion, but um, yeah. And then also like the shows that show up to like San Diego Comic Con in general are based upon pop culture, and the type of pop culture TV shows has really changed in the last 5 years since the
Yeah.
CW just went downhill and then ended everything. So
Right.
um, it's hard to know what you're going to get when you go there. I mean, Dexter is very high in pop culture, but it has nothing to do with you know
Sci-fi.
sci-fi or superheroes or anything. It's a serial killer, but guess what? He's a huge hit there.
Ugh, huge hit. Still super bummed because the guy who plays Dexter is coming back to play Dexter, and Buffy will be on the new show as well, or one of the new shows. It's very
So, on a complete side note, I will say she listed it. She posted something that made it look like she might not be a reoccurring character.
ugh,
I mean, who knows? I'm not sure. I just remember seeing something like she might just be like a guest star,
well,
but I mean that could
that's
change too.
like
So,
her day to day.
right, I'd like her to be in a show that lasts longer than one season.
Yes,
I mean, I know she would too. So,
yes.
um, but anyways, so then I was going to start listing more Buffy people, but that's not where we're at today.
No, that's not where we're
Um,
at.
but
Now, yeah,
who are we about to meet, Kayla?
that's what I was gonna say. So we're going to Dragon Con again this year. Dragon Con's just one that we love to go to, and this year we're getting what, two
Two?
Smallvilles? Well, semi-smalls. We're getting Lana or Kristen Krug.
Yep. Which, no, sorry, go ahead.
We're also getting Whitney.
Oh, that's right. Who Whitney is. I'd like to see him in more stuff because he's just one of those faces where it's like you've seen a show so many times that you just they're fun when they pop up.
Yes,
His role in Supernatural, I mean, that was just a lot of fun,
one episode, but it's
right?
like I see, like when I see him, I think Supernatural because we've seen it 1,000 times. So to us, it's like he's been in like 10 episodes, but he hasn't.
Right. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
at any rate,
So that'll be great. And Kristen Krug, like you do hear a lot of like good things about her. Um, I think with kind of what they've been up to lately. So Michael Rosenbaum was hitting the circuit for I don't know, probably 5 to 10 years, but I would say more heavily in the last 5 years since he started his podcast. And he um, finally got Tom Welling to start coming to a few after I think he probably did that convention, but I would say in the last a little before COVID, and then since COVID kind of winded down.
Yeah,
Um,
it's been Creation Entertainment cons, I believe.
yes. And so they kind of got Kristen Krug to go to some for a while, and they were just nothing that we were attending. And then also Erica
I was
Durance,
gonna say Lois
um,
was at a couple.
who I mean, that was that was the crush for a long time.
You can see
Still
them
kind of
now
is.
at those events. They also put on like Smallville night stuff, which is
Yeah,
good to see.
and they still do that. And I was really hoping that because they just announced they have one, like I think it's like this weekend in for whatever that not Creation Entertainment, but it was with the fan expos. They're doing one at a fan
Oh,
expo, so
okay.
they just kind of will like kind of duo a convention together and do a Smallville nights where you it seems like it's a room of like 30 to 50 people at most, and they reenact a little scene, and then I mean I'm sure they meet everybody because it's a small group of people.
Right.
That is worth any money that I might have left. Uh, and so well, at some point we'll make an effort to
Yeah.
see them if we're not lucky enough for them to be a last minute add to Dragon Con, but which we've got a stacked cast for that we can talk about next week.
Flippin' stacked.
Um, but anyways, so they Michael Rosenbaum has had Inside of You as a podcast for at least a few years now, where he, just gets different celebrities, whether it's actors, writers, producers, directors, famous friends, onto his podcast to talk about really trauma, and life experiences. And then
And they're
2 years ago,
recurring now.
yeah, and then 2 years ago, I want to say they started the Talkville podcast, which is their Smallville rewatch podcast. He did get Tom Welling on board for that. I've watched some of it. Honestly, I'm not a great podcast listener.
I
I'm
know.
not.
I mean, we watch
Um,
us, but yeah.
yes, but the episodes I've watched, I mean, they're great. They get some of the cast on. Uh, not all of them. And they've had the writers, producers, and some of the directors of the show as guest stars on the Talkville podcast. I think Kristen Krug has been on a few. Erica Durance, I think I've seen, has been on a couple. Um,
We're waiting for Allison Mack, but
Allison Mack, I mean, she is out of jail now. For those of you who
no
don't know,
suing.
right?
You know,
Um,
tell us what she's been up
true.
to lately.
Right.
We know the
I
code.
am dying to know what she's been up to lately. And hopefully she make. Here's the thing, in the essence of forgiveness, and second chances, I hope that. By the way, Allison Mack played longtime friend, Chloe Sullivan. Uh, I still want to meet her, and I don't care what that says about me. You
I'd
know,
love to meet the woman.
um, not condoning any of her actions or behaviors of the past. Um, Yeah, John Schneider's the dad. He is still alive, I believe. The mom, and the mom is alive too.
Alive
They
too.
don't really do a lot anymore, or maybe not things that we have seen. They've partaken in some smaller roles, but um, there's definitely still cast out there that we have yet to meet
Right.
from Smallville. They are Michael Rosenbaum and Tom Welling have been working for a few years now on getting an animated continuation of the series off the ground.
How's that
They
going?
haven't talked about it I want to say probably a year now, but I mean, I'll take continuation of that world in any way, shape, or form that I can get, and unless Tom Welling's willing to, get a little bit back in shape, this is probably an easy out there too. But
I know.
um, that show kind of ended bringing Michael Rosenbaum back in such a way where I'm like when he left the show, it was like he was like one of the core best parts of it. So it was really weird that they did that. Bringing him back for the finale though was the right move. I wish they had brought him back for the whole last season, but um, yeah, yeah. I think we've met a couple of other small guest stars that we've talked about before that have shown up on there. But yeah, they're great, and hopefully we have a good experience with Christian Crook and I'm just gonna call him Whitney.
Yeah, I like Whitney.
Yeah. Um, anything to close us out, Kayla?
I don't think so. I mean, I recommend again if you get a chance to meet Tom Welling and Michael Rosenbaum, it's great, and even James Mercer's, who was only on Smallville for a short while as well, but
Hmm.
great overall. Good
Yeah.
experiences. Yep. Um, can't recommend enough.
Yes. And Kayla, where can the folks find our information?
Yes. Please make sure you follow us on Instagram at AfterCon. Listen to our podcast on Apple Podcasts and DM us if you have any questions or you want to hear something in specific. We would love to hear from you.
All right. Thanks, everybody, and we will see you next week.